Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, we are going to target in on Black mental health and false racism accusations, because there is a thin line between Black mental health and false racism accusations. Let's take a look at some of the celebrities who have exhibited known cases of mental health challenges. Some faces pop up, I'm sure. Now, here comes the challenge. If you are a white person or some other ethnicity, and at any time, if you show firmness, if you show that you are determined to get the individual some help, your tactics by those who are ignorant are going to be misconstrued as prejudice, racist, okay? Immoral, irresponsible, whatever a group or an individual is going to label them as. There is such a fine line, isn't there? In trying to get someone some help, but at the same time, making sure that everyone who is witnessing the individual getting some help, that there is no false accusations of mistreatment. This is why we have people in media running wild. Because you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. If the person, for instance, is a mega star minister, just so happens to be Black, but also just so happens to show that he or she is deteriorating mentally, we have a problem. Because if those around that individual just so happen to be white, and maybe they might have a little history that we uncover on the internet where they have said some racist things. Why is that individual around said person? Why is that group handling that case? You see, we want celebrities, as well as just our own family members, friends, and co-workers, and managers and supervisors, and you all know the rest, to get some help. We really want them to get some help when they're showing all signs that something's happening, whether it's the aging process, recent traumatic events, repressed memories that have been triggered, childhood woes, whatever the case may be. Someone is exhibiting some problems that are only going to cause more problems if we don't put a lid on that person. The last time I remember a family member, African American, in a predominantly white community, had this individual who was white in his life, who was trying to get him to take medicines and so forth. He did not want to. He ran around the neighborhood acting up. Story gets back. Oh, they're mistreating me up here. Oh, these people are being racist toward me and all of that. And that was not the case. But people who don't know the individual who was railing the false accusations assume that that's what's going on. Why don't they leave him alone? And so he was left to run wild because nobody wanted to touch that case, not even Black folks. Nope, that case right there, he is free to run around until he eventually self-harms or harm someone enough so that we can lock him up for good. Okay? Basically, people get to a point where they wait for you to hang yourself. They wait for you to do something that's so awful, so just so bad, to the point where if that person does pass away, people will say things like, we're so glad he's gone. At least he's with his maker. At least, the family's at peace. Okay? This is what is unfolding right before your eyes in media as I'm recording this audio. And sooner or later, it's going to be ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Yes, the conspiracies are going to start to arise. But then again, some of it isn't conspiracy. This is what happens when you keep playing around with people's minds. I'm going to go there. We've got individuals who say, sure, sign me up for the next greatest, latest, trending, next medical breakthrough. Sign me up for the next test, trial, what have you. And they don't anticipate that there's going to be the side effects that are so harmful to the point where the person is no good to anyone, not even to his or herself. Oh, there's going to be side effects, but, this is what we do in order to, derail this side effect, and this is what we do in order to, fix this situation and that one. So no problem until there is problems on top of problems that man or woman cannot fix. Already been through the counseling. This particular relative went through the counseling. Already went through the whole medication over the years. Well, maybe you should up the medication, or maybe you should lower the medication. Already went through that. Did he stay on the medication? When he did stay on the medication, yes, there were some benefits, but then there was also some monkeys that every now and again from childhood showed up, and no amount of medication could be able to quell what was going on inside that head of his. Of course, he still needed to function, so he could not be walking around like a zombie. Bills got to be paid. People need to work. State wasn't giving the family enough money, so still got to be able to function in such a way to be able to work. But then the problem with that is that, okay, now we got some other little issues going on in the mind, can't concentrate long enough, can't deal with the criticism from the managers and others, not doing the greatest of jobs while working. Back out you go. Unemployed. Out there on the streets. Got idle time. Somehow there were some issues that arise where didn't get the prescription filled, got himself in a bit of trouble, in and out of jail. Many people familiar with the name, familiar with the case, familiar with a lot going on with this particular relative. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that they're just pretty much waiting for him to do the worst of all worst things, where he's either going to be locked in jail for the rest of his life, or he's going to be 6 feet deep in his grave, and get this, like others that came before him. In other words, this is a generational thing. You thought it was just with the one person. You see, you got celebrities that birthed out children, and we haven't seen the end of it, because once some of these celebrities, Lord Jesus, end up going away, their offspring is still here and is going to show that side that we don't like in some way, shape, or form. Some of these children are already showing those signs. As quiet as it's kept, I can see one particular mother so worried, so stressed out, putting this child on all sorts of medicines, watching this child's diet and everything else, because, oh my goodness, this child is just like the father. Or, in some cases, other parents, they're fearful that in time they're going to be just like the mother or the father. Not everyone, as this is one of those statements that's going to make some people bristle, but not everyone was called to have children. Matter of fact, it was God's grace that they were allowed to pass through the womb. You don't know what you're asking when you start into deviling, when you start dipping into other people's lives, delving into other people's lives. You don't know what you're asking. Because when you start saying things like, everybody should have a right to, what you're also saying too is that you plan on sharing the burden. You plan on forking over your money, forking over your house, forking over whatever it is that the mentally disturbed need, right? Most of the time, the people who are just giving lip service is not even about to give up any of their time, space, energy, money to promote anything in terms of getting necessary help, treatment, what have you, for individuals. There are those who do, kudos to you, but there are many others who don't. They just like to say things that's going to get them a lot of likes, comments, and subscriptions. Black mental health is a real issue. And yes, we still have a whole lot of work to do because of the traumas and dramas that keep showing up year after year. That really, and I've said ever since I was younger, that really shouldn't keep showing up year after year. How many times do you have to keep reminding everybody about the history of slavery? How many times do you have to keep showing more graphic images on top of graphic images from that time period? How many times do you have to keep putting it out there of all of the racist individuals who say this and who do that, that only infuriate people who lived? And we still got individuals who lived during those eras when it was really bad, when black folks were in the back of the bus, when black folks were being hung on trees, and when crosses were out there. You've got disturbed individuals who do this sort of thing because it's their way of keeping certain segments of the population who are easily traumatized by events behind. Competition, none. We continue to move forward. We've got the better opportunities. We've got the better healthcare. We've got the better communities. We've got the better. And as long as you keep brainwashing, putting all sorts of stuff out there, people who don't know any better are going to continue to gravitate toward things that are unhealthy, unnatural. You see, the sickness growing in the camp in all its forms and facets is there to do ultimately what? To keep you from having a sober mind. The scripture reminds us that we're to have a sober mind. But if you bring a bunch of alcohol and drugs and promiscuity and telling me what was once unnatural is now natural, and you put all of this in the community, I'm distracted by all of these things. My mind isn't right. I'm saying some ridiculous things, but somebody out there who got plenty of sense says, oh, you're fine. You're okay. Everything is great. As long as you got somebody like that that's doing that, or some group or organization, you're going to continue to do what? Spread the dysfunction. So why keep the mentally disturbed person out there front and center, off medicines or on and off medicines, or out there running the streets? Because they're more likely to do some things, not just to self, but to others, that will set a whole group back. You thought it was just the mental person, right? The one that's going through the challenges. You thought that it was just over there in their neck of the woods and it's got nothing to do with you, and you're just going to mind your business until that business shows up at your doorstep and it's banging on the door and it's wanting to be let in. When crack cocaine showed up in the 1990s in the community, I saw the effects that it had on family members, and those family members did not get all of their minds back. They didn't. Talking to them, some of them, they make no sense whatsoever. Their reasoning, their cognitive skills, all over the place. Who am I talking to right now? And some of these people were once considered smart, very intelligent. Now throw the aging process into it, and it's even more challenging to talk to them. Throw alcohol, drugs, you name it, all over again. And you're talking to a wall. Their bodies are broken down. You can see some of them. Oh my goodness. The bodies are broken down. The eyes, they're not even white anymore. There's some kind of dingy yellow looking color. The eye whites. The skin, talking about black don't crack. They better stop saying that, because I've been seeing black cracking all over the place. Not taking care of themselves, making excuses for everything that they do. Oh, the doctor said it's okay. The doctor did not tell you it's okay. Stop lying. You see, eat this, eat that. You're already messed up in your mindset. Now you're putting stuff inside your body that makes it all the more challenging to process your thoughts, to concentrate. I wish that I could say that in the future we're going to be in a better state, but that's not true. This is why some individuals have strategically come up with plans to get rid of certain segments of the populace. The information is out there. It's no conspiracy. It's no make-believe. It's doing things in such a way where, of course, it's responsible. And it is not just randomly doing things just to be doing it. But if you end up having too many trips to the hospital, there's plans. Okay? If you end up showing up in the justice system doing things to harm other people over and over again, there's plans. Nothing that you see in media is just happenstance and it's just out there just for people just to watch. It's out there because people are testing the waters behind the scenes. People are wanting to see how you respond. Even me creating this message, how we respond to what they're allowing to happen. They even do polls every now and again. What do you think of this celebrity? What do you think of that celebrity? If that celebrity is no longer a favorite, hey, we know how to deal with that celebrity accordingly. But if that celebrity is still considered a favorite, they've got to be very particular about what they do and how they do it and the type of narrative that they want to present in the event that that celebrity passes. Okay? But we're no fools. We see that there is trouble out there in media world. And we see some of the crazy things that are being said, some of the reckless things that are being done. And we know it's only a matter of time, like in the example of the relative that I gave, that they do things that are going to hang themselves. When you see people within your own family making some very strange decisions, right, that look like they make sense, but somebody's got something going on mentally that is not right. It's not enough sometimes, these decisions, to say, okay, we need to get this person some help, because they're still functional. They're still working. They're still, taking care of their families. They're still being a productive member of society. But the writing is on the wall, and we watch that. Some of you all, you've guarded yourself from these sorts of things that you see. You've also warned your children, or you've kept your children around, because we're noticing that dad is drinking a little too much, or granddad is out there and he's, making some foolish statements, doing some crazy things. You see this sort of thing. You need to guard yourself when it comes to even watching some of these shows and some of the talks that go on with these celebrities and so forth, because you don't know who's pulling the strings behind the puppet, right? And so the next thing you know, you're going down this rabbit hole thinking all sorts of things about our society, about our world and everything else that you would have never thought about until they let this person who's already running amok say some ridiculous things. Now, if these statements can be proven with facts, if these statements are things that we go, okay, you know what? I know somebody from that hood. Or, yes, I do recall that there were some doctors that had even told me this or told me that. Or, yes, I did see evidence and proof before it was taken down. Then, hey, you know, we can take what they're saying of most significance of, that, wow, this is definitely, confirmation. But some of these celebrities, they know what their platforms are and they know what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. And so if they become too reckless, strange things have a way of happening. And some of you all, you saw the body count, it's been going on for many, many years. Some of you all, you are the relatives of individuals who your family questioned events that led up to their leaving this planet, right? Mental health can cause somebody to self-harm. Mental health can cause someone to use drugs and alcohol in excess that could ultimately take them off the planet. We know that. But sometimes there are those individuals who will drive people back to their old demons so that they don't have, so to speak, blood on their hands. But according to the scriptures, they do have blood on their hands, because anytime you drive a person down that rabbit hole and you keep telling them all sorts of things that make them lose it, you are no different than anyone who would go out there and commit a physical act to take somebody off this planet. You see. Some individuals have successfully, unfortunately, done this sort of thing and were never caught, and nobody ever connected any dots. They just simply said, this one overdosed, or this one abused alcohol, and it led to all sorts of health ailments which caused their demise. So I say all that to say, look out. The future is going to be interesting in terms of what is happening in the world of the black celebrity and their mental health. We're also going to see where more and more African Americans are going to finally say, okay, I am going through some issues. I think I need to sit down and talk with a counselor or a therapist. Some people are going to say hallelujah, because we could have told you that years ago, but you didn't want to believe it. But hey, that's a step in the right direction. And so thank God for that. There's only so much that a church can do, as we very well know from our own personal experience. I could go up to a minister, tell him, look, this is what I'm going through. He says, okay, I'll pray for you, dear daughter. And that's pretty much it. But there are some churches that no. You got to do more than just say that, oh, we're going to pray. We need you to direct this person towards some help. Otherwise, we're going to hold you responsible, because this person came to you. They told you that they had every intention of hurting members of society, especially when it comes to officials, and you never bother to report it. Yeah, there's going to be those individuals who will unfortunately go through their share of challenges because of it. So, as we are continuing to see things for what they really are, we ask in Jesus' mighty name that the Lord continue to strengthen us, open up our eyes, keep our minds sound, that we are motivated to stay away from all sorts of people, places, and things that are not good for us. And we ask that the blood covering of Jesus be upon us as we walk this walk, and walk it mightily, courageously, until the end of our days. Blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that is of interest. You've been listening to YouTube Interim Enterprise 7. We do welcome donations. Thank you so much. And If you would like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at NichollMcGuire at gmail.com. And my first name is spelled uniquely, Nicholl McGuire, McGuire at gmail.